Welcome to the Purpose Driven Executive Podcast, where we help you go from making your work your life to making your life work. We share true stories, interviews, and experiences that will help you, the hero, in your quest for passion and purpose. Higher purpose, higher productivity. This is the Purpose Driven Executive Podcast. Purpose-driven executives, those who are pushing towards productivity and purpose, the ones that aren't just empty suits. Thank you so much for joining us. You're gonna be really excited about the dude that I have on with us today. I met him a few years ago, just in other realms. It was another podcast, another episode. You actually should listen to that one too. But this guy is absolutely one of the most interesting leaders you're ever going to find. I call him the Tony Stark of Nashville. He kind of looks like him, but he's also really techie and highly, this dude's a brainiac. So I'm probably just going to hang up the mic and let him talk the whole time because he's got so much to share. But welcome to the show, the leader of. Robert, I'm going to let you tell us about the companies, but just welcome to the show, Robert Hartline. Robert, thanks for hanging out with us, man.
That was an awesome introduction, Donnie. I really appreciate that. I don't know if I'm going to live up to that. So you guys, I don't know. We'll see. But dude, thanks for having me on your show. I enjoyed the last time we got together for sure, and I'm excited to have a little conversation.
Man, I love it. So give us a little bit of background in terms of the multiple places where you have businesses. I'm really interested in your lifestyle too, because you live really kind of something, you've dared to do some things that maybe other people have thought about but never taken action on. Man, give us a snapshot.
Yeah. So, I live in Nashville, Tennessee. My wife and I, we have two young boys. We spent half the year in Costa Rica with them, kind of this, fun travel lifestyle that I've always been a big lover of travel. But we get to enjoy two different lands to enjoy the people from. But, I started a business 20 years ago, and this business has grown. We have a chain of wireless retail stores, and I started a software company a few years ago. I actually started two, and then right now I spend a majority of my time on really it's a new way to think about your time. It's called Shift Your Time, and the fundamentals are that I teach people how to move from your internal communication from email and phone to an app that's free in the marketplace. Anybody can download. It's called Marco Polo. It's a video walkie-talkie app. And I teach organizations how to use that to not only cast your vision, to help inspire your team, to getting things done through other people. And that's what leaders do. And I teach organizations how to do that in an interesting way.
Oh my gosh. All right. I love that. You've broken off a lot. We're gonna dig into all of this, my friend. So first off, you span a pretty large area. You don't just lead people like that's in, they're in like I don't even know the mile radius with which you operate, but we're talking about 60 different locations, over 400 employees with one company. Then we have the technology companies, and we have the training stuff. How do you keep all this stuff in order, man?
Dude, I love creation. I mean, I love imagination. I love thinking about new ideas and new things. And I'm a starter. I'm not a finisher. I start things and then I hand them off. And when I feel good about what I've built, I'll hand it to a new leader to lead and keep the engine going. I have yet to make us to try to sell what I've created. I love building and growing and seeing where it will take us. And as I do business way differently. I don't believe in the office. I think the office is where good ideas and death happens to everyone.
Yes.
So I'm not a meeting guy. I'm not a get in the car and commute guy. I'm a work in my basement and inspire through video guy. That's what I do, and that's what I enjoy to do. And I'm on a mission to teach the business community that there is a better way to create health and wealth with their teams when they change the way they communicate. You know, Donnie, 80% of a business leader's day is email and phone calls. And that is an awful way to communicate.
But, Robert, that's an addiction, brother. I mean, like, this isn't just like we think it's the way it should be done, and we feel weird when it's not happening. So tell me, what is this other way, my friend?
Well, so, I mean, really, when you stop and think about it, I mean, the reason people get in their car and go to a traditional office space, now, they started doing this in the 70s, right? And they went to the office because they needed in the office was typewriters, machines. IBM had a room full of computers that they had to build a building around, and they had to bring all these office workers to come work on computers. And even though the computer now fits in the size in your pocket, the habits and strategies from the 70s have carried on to these older CEOs of these positions that are doing business the way they're comfortable. And it's not their fault, but what it's going to take is really driven people in the organization to start reaching out to Mr. Smith and say, Mr. Smith, man, dude, this drive that I have every single day to come and work in this office and use a computer, which I have at home, is probably killing me. No, I don't have time for eating healthy because I have a 40-minute commute each way.
Yes.
You know, I don't have time to have exercise. And I don't have time to spend with my kids. And, you know, I like this place and you guys are wonderful people, but I believe I can get a lot more work done at home. And so now I will tell you, Donnie, you know this, not everyone's meant to work from home. But I believe the future of work is absolutely going to be a mix between working from home and then working from co-working facilities. But traditional offices, I think, are more likely the cause of death than anything that the health department deems as a cause of death. No one says the office as the leading cause of death, but I believe it is so.
Wow. Those are big claims, my man. I do know that the time of the most heart attack deaths in America, you know what day it is?
Monday
morning, Sunday night. Yep.
Wow.
It's that window. It is that window.
There's so many, but just like anything in technology, it really takes many, many more years than it should. You know, when the telephone was created, and the whole purpose of the telephone was created to pass music along. And once they figured out, well, I could talk to people and start communication, you think, oh, the telephone will be an outstanding star. It'll be revolutionary and change the game overnight. It took like 50 years before it was even mainstream, and even took even longer than that before it was just part of everyone's day-to-day life. So technology, I mean, as fast as we adopt new things, there's someone at the other end that's hanging on to the past and it's not going to move forward.
Hey, thanks for being someone who is on this journey of purpose with me. And I am with you, my friend, and I've got something for you. Have you ever been moving towards purpose and sometimes it just looks like a big mess? Sure you have. We all have. And the reality is we're usually not going to get to a destination unless we have a roadmap. And that's exactly what I've created. If you will go to purposedrivenexecutive.com, you can get it for free. And this is the culmination of all of my studies, all of my coaching, all of even my own personal living And I've created a very visual, very easy way for you to map out your purpose. This is for you. This is for people you're leading. This is for your family. Go on over right now, purposedrivenexecutive.com, and get your free map of purpose.
That is so true, my friend. So take me here. I'm thinking, anytime you have something new, it's just like any business, right? There has to be an identified process. There has to be an identified mindset, right? There's almost like you have to retrain to do those things, because, and I'll even use myself for a prime example. I get a lot more work done, and I think I live life a whole lot better without the office. But I will say that there were some dangers, Robert, and this is probably more to be taken up on the Sell Anywhere podcast, which I've got to have you on there too. But there are the dangers of, man. I mean, I don't know if it's me, but I mean, how do you keep people engaged when no one's watching them? How do you help them to really kind of be united for a common goal and in a movement? How do you do that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question. I mean, I'm addicted to a book that was written in 1910 called The Science of Getting Rich. And what we do as leaders is, one of the fundamental lessons in the book is using your will on others does not work. It does not work. I tell you to do something, Donnie. Say, hey, do this, Donnie. Right?
Spend effort not doing it. Yes.
Just barking orders, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't work. What works, though, is inspiring you through casting vision is what creates leaders and creates followers for the leader, is casting that vision in such a way that helps you completely understand why you are doing what you're doing. People working for you want to know the why, and you cannot explain it in an email. You cannot explain it on a phone call. But when you get me on video and I have an idea or I have a goal to hit and I'm going to talk about and high five my team and get them excited about it, I do it in Marco Polo. It's a video walkie-talkie app that anybody could download. It's free to use. The best way to spark inspiration is to be there. Like, if you could be there in person, yeah, that would be ideal. But I can't. In my world, I cannot go and drive to a store and efficiently give an attaboy to somebody that deserves it, but I can do it on video, and I can do it in front of their coworkers, and I can do it in such a way to give them a drug. You know what that drug is, Donnie?
Tell me.
The endorphins that you get when you've done something right and someone recognizes it, it releases dopamine in your brain. Dopamine is the do it again gene, the do it again hormone, right? So when Donnie, you had a kick-ass day yesterday, you closed that big-ass deal, and you feel good about it, but you know how you're going to feel great about it? When you were recognized in front of others and your coworkers, it releases dopamine, and that release is a drug, and your body's going to go, oh God, that feels so good. This drug is so good. And when that wears out, you're going to be like, well, shit, I got to get my other fix, right? I need my other fix. So good leaders are drug dealers, right?
Oh,
They're drug dealers. I got to give you that dopamine rush to get on your path to get to the next hit. And listen, you deserve to be recognized for doing good. And a phone call thanking someone for their efforts is good, but it's not efficient to get everyone to see it, because you want others to see that, because others will want to also get that. That's why I tell people all the time, if you have someone on your team that's just the loser on your team, how would you motivate a loser? How would you motivate a loser? It's a simple question that all leaders have, and I tell people all the time.
Reward the winner.
Well, you can do that in front of them, but there's another way you can do it. How do you start as a drug dealer? How does a drug dealer get customers?
They give their first hit for free, right? Isn't that the?
Yeah. So
Golly.
you just
Not that I
find
know this, Robert, but
yeah, yeah, there you go. But you know the fundamentals, and the fundamentals are you find a weak loser. Maybe it's a loser in your team that you perceive as a loser. Maybe they're winner disguised as a loser. I don't know. But imagine for a moment you took that person that wasn't performing and you found something that they were doing good. Maybe they just ironed their shirt and you just acknowledge that. You can give them a sample. And when they start winning and you give them bigger samples and bigger samples of it, suddenly they're in this, what I call the success engine, right? In order to get success to start, you got to have a spark and you got to have the gas. You got to have a carburetor throwing oxygen. And if you do those things and you get that engine started, once they have a taste of success, they want more and more and more. And suddenly they're like, I don't know why I'm winning these days. Well, and but leadership is deciding where to give the drugs. And
wow.
once you've discovered this thing, I mean, I believe that everyone is willing to change if they have the right spark. Some of us takes a different spark and it doesn't work for some people. But I always, before we get rid of somebody, I want to see if I can get them sparked into action before I have to go out and find somebody new. But it's strategy that does absolutely work.
Robert, this is so powerful. So the people listening to this, I mean, gosh, the things that we have done to create incentive programs, right? We're giving away the latest Apple device. We're we have trips. We have all of these things, and those things are important, and they should still be used strategically. But let's not miss the absolute best way to really incent people, and it's free. Right? It just takes a little bit of time and effort in noticing, and what you're talking about is a power of praise, right? The being the drug dealer. I've never heard it that way. Man, that's crazy. But what can you do? What can you do? Like, let me ask you a question, Robert. Do you actually, like, I'm sure some of this comes naturally, but over the years, have you actually come up with little almost ways to create that moment where you can get a spark here or a spark there? Like, have you almost created like a storyline or a plot where you can actually kind of kick that into action?
Well, you have to, a lot of it has to do with if you have the right positive mindset, and if you think positive thoughts about your team. Let's just say hypothetically you have people that work for you that are weak. If you think they are weak, they are going to be weak. If you think they are strong, they will be strong. If your mindset is positive and you just assume the best, even from your worst, and you look for opportunities where they shine, acknowledge that and be supportive of that. And sometimes we often think to ourselves that the workday is not influenced by outside forces, but that's not true. They have lives. And just because someone is maybe a weak employee, they may assume that they want to be weak or don't want to try, but you don't know what their life is like beyond the four walls that you go into every day. And everyone has their own challenges. And listen, people never quit the company. They always quit the boss.
So true.
And, it's so, what I think is so funny, all this stuff that's going on with Google. And there's a lot of stuff going on with Google employees. But if you look at it on the outside, you go, here's a company, they have free food from gourmet chefs. They have beer on tap. They have everything that an employee would need at work. They have from massage to fitness to tennis. You name all these things that they give a Google employee. Google employees still whining about working at Google. I mean, it's like you almost could say they're recognized as a top place to work. But there's still people quitting Google every single day because they're quitting the boss. They're not quitting Google. It's the boss that matters. And being a leader is not a skill set that you don't come out of the womb and you're suddenly this amazing leader. You got to screw up a whole lot first and understand that the way you get things done through other people is not your will. It's inspiration. As long as you focus on inspiration, people are going to follow you. They'll follow you all over the world.
Robert, you hit on a few things there, man, and I'm like I'm literally on page 4 of my notes because I might people quote Mark Twain and Steve Jobs. I'm probably going to have like a string of at least a month of Robert Hartline quotes going on here. But a couple of the things that you said that really struck a chord with me is like that first thing was looking for strength, and the fact that our brains are actually kind of hardwired in a way to prove ourselves right. Like, oh, I thought this to be true. And so it's like you look for evidence of that to be true. And when you say that you release that almost for your team, this is a format of, this is love, man. I mean,
it is. And I deal with lots of leaders in my organization every single day. And one of the things I often tell them is that when you see your team, when they walk in the door, I want you to think of yourself as a mommy or a daddy. And I want you to think that you love this person regardless of their actions. And if you are focused on loving them, you love them. Like literally, this is your child. And no matter what they do, you're just going to love them. And so what I always tell them is when you see your employee when they walk in the door, what you are watching, you're looking at them and analyzing their body language. Are their shoulders up? Is their face facing forward? Is it facing down? Do they have a hunch on their back? Are they walking like they are dragging a 50-pound dumbbell? If you see the body language of someone who's dragging some baggage with them, it's your job to look them in the eye and just say, how's it going? Tell me what's going on. How are you doing today? The engaged conversation that you get with someone and helping them know that, you know what, they may have something they want to talk about. I mean, Donnie, you know this. What happens when you sit down with your wife and let's say you've had a tough day or a big challenge? How do you feel when you unload on her with some challenges you have at work?
Gosh, man, Robert, I feel like that all of us feel like we're more bonded to someone when we have a chance to share, right? We feel more loved, more liked, and we actually like that person more in turn. At least that's how I'm perceiving it.
Yes. I mean, we have a value statement at my company called I Care. It's actually spelled I Cur because we're from the South, right? And so we have these core values, and I care is a feeling that I must create with my team. I must have my team understand that I care about you. And if they feel that you care, they will jump over all kinds of struggles and challenges to stay working with you because you may, in fact, as a leader, be their family. May be the only person that actually cares about them. And having that ability to make sure people understand that you care about them and just go through the niceties of the day, just asking questions, being able to have some release. Like when you talk to your wife and you talked about a tough day, just releasing that out of your brain just takes that bottled up energy, lets it blow it out in a safe place. You're, having a conversation about a tough day with your wife is the safest place to unload that. Where it's not safe is talking about an employee with another employee, right? I can't believe Donnie. What a butthole. Wait, can you believe what he said? Blah, 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 blah. Like, what does that do to the team when I talk about someone on the team? It doesn't help the team. It's something I call you're not being adaptable. Listen, I never talk about my teammates with other teammates in a negative way. That's not sunshine and rainbows. We carry a philosophy here that everything's great. if there's a challenge with somebody, I'm going to talk to you privately, but I'm not going to talk about you behind your back. So there's lots of things to learn about leadership that I feel like I know 1% of leadership.
But and I do want to ask you a little bit about how you light the torches of the other leaders, because as you said earlier, right, it's not about getting things done. It's about getting things done through other people. And maybe twist into that too. Like I've coached people through this. I've seen it. It's an ugly side. Like, have you been in an organization, Robert? What does it do when let's just say you're a leader and you're either willing to put up with gossip? We'll just call it gossip, just to maybe give it a label, right? Someone talking about someone else when they're not present, or you do it yourself. Maybe you even join in the jibes, and like, oh yeah, like that Bob, he never really works hard or whatever. Have you seen that? What does that do? And you, like, give me what you're experiencing instead.
Well, Cy Wakeman is someone I do follow, and she talks a lot about this, and she calls it the driving around the BMW. And this happens in lots of organizations. Let's say change happens in an organization, and Susie is I'll just use Susie for a moment. Change happens, and she's like, I can't believe they're doing this. This is awful. Diane, did you hear what they just did? Diane, this is just irrational. I cannot believe this place. It's been downhill since Timmy left. And then Susie goes to Barbara, can you believe? And next thing you know, Susie comes to you and goes, Donnie, the girls and I have been talking. And we really feel like this is a really bad decision from you guys. And essentially what Susie has done is she hopped into her BMW, bitching, whining, and moaning. And she comes to you in this, she's driven around the office, picked up all her girlfriends and everyone in the office.
This is a real situation too, by the way. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent. But yeah, it's just, yes.
And she's, it's just so true. But the solution is to solve the ego, because the ego is the one that's complaining. The ego is insecurity and fear. And the best way to help as a leader is when you recognize this, is to ask the people driving the BMW to take a little bit of self-reflection. Walk into the mirror and ask yourself, how am I a solution to this issue or the problem in the issue? And as long as people can be real with themselves, and it's a tough thing, and go, you know what, am I the problem? And that driving around in this BMW doesn't help the organization. It'll make you feel good to relent and to complain. And we've all done this, right? We've all been in the situation where you want to commiserate with your problems with other people and feel like it actually is part of being in a tribe, talk about your problems and everybody can be on the same page and things like that. But as long as you recognize and have your team recognize that it's your ego that's doing this, and that self-reflection is probably the first step into changing that behavior. Because at the end of the day, that BMW driving around eventually is going to run somebody over, and they're not going to be part of your organization again. And it's not healthy. And the healthy organization is listening, and problems happen. And I think having core values for me is important, because I have the adaptability core value. The adaptability means, listen, shit's going to happen. I just don't know when. And when it happens, we're going to deal with it in this way that's out of love, and we care about the team, and we want to move forward. And change happens. It is what it is. And we want adaptable people. If you're not adaptable, I tell people in interviews all the time, if you're not an adaptable person and you want to do the same thing over and over and over, this is not a healthy place for you.
That's powerful, right? We have to choose the lens wherewith which we interpret what's happening around us, and then also have like I feel like you're a man of processes, Robert Hartline. That right, it's like, hey, when this happens, not like if this happens, when this happens, I already have a plan. I kind of know where we're going with this one, and I have one particular type of if, when, then type of action I want to ask you about in a moment. Well, let's just go and get to it right now, man. Let me ask you a question. You find someone that doesn't belong in the tribe. Their skill sets, their beliefs, whatever, man. Bad hire, bad decision. How do you move them along in a way that's best for everyone, that actually in feels good, right? I think so many of us are afraid to fire and really, I'm holding up air quotes, help people transition to the next phase of life. How do you do that?
Well, Donnie, you have been amazing here. And I don't honestly know what it would be like to not have you here in the organization, but starting Monday, we're going to try it out. That would be a terrible thing to do, Donnie. No, but it is what happens. I mean, there's a lot of organization, some of the people that do drive those BMWs are the most valuable people in the organization. And they're the most passionate about everything in the company. They in fact, may be the hardest working. And often people don't realize the action they take. And sometimes I've had this conversation with people, and I'll say something like, Donnie, I want to ask you a question. What if I told you that over the last week, everything that you had said or done was recorded on a video, and I created a movie of your style of work for the last week? And
wait, you can do that? Because you probably could. All right. Yeah.
And let me ask you a question, Donnie. If you were to sit down and watch that movie, would you be proud of the way you acted in the last week? And self-reflection is a hard pill to swallow for everyone, because we always think the best of ourselves. And sometimes people start thinking that if I see things through another lens, some people that are able to do this and like empathize and see through the eyes of others, sometimes that realization is kind of eye-opening and scary, and it sometimes a little bit painful, but it can change people's lives to realize that, and I'm not the universe does not revolve around Robert Hartline. And listen, I've had to take some serious pills with my own team with things that I've said or done that it hurt to hear how it affected people. And so we are all humans, and we all deserve a second chance to get better at what we do. But everyone has a different journey in life, and people are in different stages, and their chapters aren't to where your chapter is maybe, and they haven't gotten an opportunity to have maybe the same life experience. And that's what typically happens when you have younger people joining an organization that don't have the level of experience that others do. And it's our jobs to help educate and show them and help them become wise, right?
I love that, man. It's like what I'm hearing is like someone saying, like, I'm not my brother's keeper, but what you're saying is, no, I can take the responsibility a little bit for you. I am. I'll help you. And this is a figuring it out thing. And if we figure out that you're not a fit, that's okay too, right? We don't always have to force fit things in one area or another. Do you ever, in your organizations, have you ever repurposed an employee? So in other words, you're not a fit here, but golly, I can really see the skill set being better over here.
Oh yeah, I mean that's a a good manager is going to take your resources and put that resource to work in the right way. And, I've had people that have worked in my organization that I have moved around in lots of different positions, and eventually I couldn't get it to work. I had someone that cared. I mean, that's really what you want. When you're working with people, there's three things that matter: skills, knowledge. I can teach skills, I can give you knowledge, and then your drive. And if your drive is good, meaning you're driven, you're hungry, you care, I can work with anybody who cares. I can take anybody who cares and I can work with them. And I can teach them the skills to deal with some of the challenges with inner office politics or all that other stuff. But if you don't care, I can't work with you. If you don't care, there's nothing I can do. I don't have a magic wand I've never been able to find someone who didn't care that I was able to make them care. If you have someone who cares, you can teach them skills and knowledge. You can work with them, and sometimes though they may not work out, and you'll figure it out. But for the most part, you got to have that structure. You got to have someone, number one, that has the fundamentals. They got to care about it. You got to be driven. It's really the same thing.
Dude, right on, man. I've got so there's this balance of something that I'm seeing here, and I want to hear your approach to this. So there's this idea, right, of leading and inspiring through love, right? There's that part. There's the other side of it that is we've got to have a process that is replicatable, it's duplicatable, it's scalable, right? And so I guess I'm gonna ask this maybe as one question. First off, how do you manufacture that love and that care? Because you can't be in all places at all times. You're not Santa Claus. So there's that, and I'm hearing some technology. I'm hearing some of those things. How can you manufacture that first off? And then the other one is what are the things that have made you and your businesses the most scalable?
Yeah, I mean, so there's lots of questions there. Let me go through. So I would have to say, number one, authenticity is very important. It's really hard to fake you care. And I use an app called Marco Polo, and in fact, I have an online course called Shift Your Time, and I teach organizations how to move their internal communication to Marco Polo. It's a video walkie-talkie. It's a free app. Anybody can download it. And that's a video app. I can't get on video with people and be unauthentic because it's going to shine through. I'm not an actor. I cannot fake happiness and joy and excitement. I have to be authentic because I am excited when I'm excited, and I'm frustrated when I'm frustrated. So you got to care enough about what you do and be proud of what you do and enjoy what you do to be authentic. If you're in a business that you're not happy with, or you don't enjoy it, and you're having to find yourself trying to manufacture excitement or good attaboys to people that deserve it, if you're having to manufacture from a unauthentic place, you're certainly in the wrong business, and you certainly need to make a major career move as soon as possible for you, but more importantly, for the humans that you interact with every single day. So that's probably it's probably the best way to handle that. I mean, to me, you can gosh, you think about creating. How do these cult leaders? There's a lot to learn about cult leaders, right, and how they inspire people. There's lessons, good lessons, right? And obviously, a cult leader is not a good thing, but the strategies that someone does to create an allegiance or a following really has to start with the way they communicate, and that's what it boils down to. Leaders, and I'm a firm believer that the person you're talking to me now and the person you talked to, the same man when I was 34, my leadership and communication skills were not at the level they are today. And it's something that we all can learn. So the beauty of communication is you can get better at it. With enough practice, you can mold the skill to be a very powerful superpower that everyone has the ability to capture if you decide to learn it. Just in the last 2 years using video, in recording video of me, I've probably done thousands and thousands of videos in Marco Polo. That's accelerated my communication style. Whereas before, I wouldn't do it, I wouldn't say it, I wouldn't communicate it. I would try to do it in email or try to do it face-to-face. But face-to-face, my friend, feet on the street is not scalable. I only got 2 legs. I don't have a private jet yet.
So true, yeah.
I can't be at many, many places at once, and I don't believe in driving everywhere. And so ultimately, if you want to scale, you got to scale your inspirational message to many, many people. And a way to do that is using a tool like Marco Polo. Now there's other types of apps that are very similar, but I just haven't found anything that is as quality as that app to do what I do. But absolutely, if your audience haven't taken a moment to go and download Marco Polo and just practice with a friend and practice with a partner, get used to using it, you're going to see that, one of the funniest things that my clients that I've gotten their companies and literally changed their lives as a result of this app. One of the things that often happens, they'll call me and go, what's crazy is, yeah, it's really helped our team. We communicate better. We're getting a lot more done. We've got sparked some great ideas as a result. They go, but what's most amazing is the relationship with my wife is so much better.
Huh.
And I totally agree. I don't like talking on the phone. But sharing with my wife when I'm traveling and sharing what the boys are doing is so meaningful and creates such a huge bond, because face-to-face communication in a channel like what you can do with Marco Polo is incredible for enhancing any relationship, not just work, but any relationship.
So agree with you, Robert. One question I have for you on that. I've worked with people. I'm sure you may have encountered this resistance. A lot of people, right? They have that fear of video, right? They're afraid of what they look like or what they sound like, and so there's that. Like, what would you tell someone who's on the edge?
Well, it's like dealing with an objection, right? You just go to feel, felt, found. Yes. Donnie, I totally understand video would be, I was just as apprehensive to using video to communicate with my coworkers. And I really struggled at first because, you're doing video, you gotta make sure you look right. You got your hair combed and you got your clothes on, and it's a little bit of extra work to make sure you have the right message. But what I found is my message is never confused. Like if you read an email from me and you do a Marco Polo with me, I am much more clear about what I'm trying to get across by using my face and my body language in my voice. And I'm able to communicate in such a way that leaves out any doubt what I meant. And once you realize the power of video, it's going to enhance your life in a tremendous way, and it's going to add a tremendous amount of value. I've calculated for my own team that I create an extra 50 hours of productivity every single month as a result of using Marco Polo. And how do you get all those hours? Well, for one, my team doesn't drive into an office every single day. So you take commuting out of the equation. The time in which to write an email and then deal with the consequences of a poorly written email, you take that time away. The time away of pulling issues out of your meetings, because issues create the bulk of meetings. And I do all my issue resolution through Marco Polo with Marco Polo groups and people that the issue relates to. How often have you sat in a meeting with 10 people and they're talking about an issue that involves 2 people?
Mm-hmm.
It's a tremendous waste of time and energy and resources. And by eliminating the distractions of phone calls, a phone call will take anyone out of a state of flow, and it takes an average of 25 minutes to get back into a state of flow. So when you tally up all the extra hours of productivity that you give your team, it's a game changer. It feels uncomfortable at first. And some people, I'll tell people, well, if you don't feel great on video yet, the app has the ability to have filters. You can have a black and white filter. You can have a fuzzy filter. So let's say you're a female and your makeup's messy. You don't want to look like you're uncapped. You can change your filters and have the same impact.
Okay.
So, but it's just like anything, and that's why I started this business. Is I'm teaching this. I'm teaching that there is a way. It's a skill set that we all must. Talking to other humans is something we do every single day. Adding video is just a record button. It's no different than me walking up to you, Donnie, and greeting you and having a conversation. I mean, people get a little freaked out about video, but once you overcome the apprehension and see the value, you're going to say, well, why have I been doing it this way all these years?
Yeah. Second nature. It's much more efficient. It's kind of like, why would you walk into a building instead of using the phone? Just to kind of put it in the context of, people who are still maybe in the like that sales executive role. So, man, such good stuff there, Robert. Such good stuff. And I know our time is coming to an end, but I really wanted to actually open the door for something that you've actually done to help. You basically solved a problem, not just for yourself, but for others. And I don't normally, do this, but man, I really just like what you got going on with Callproof. And if you could just share a little bit of the why and what that actually solves, I'd love to open up the floor for you on that one, because just the whole hiring thing and the whole, just the productivity, the accountability thing, man, just run with that one.
Yeah, so I started a company a few years ago called Callproof, and it's an app for outside salespeople. And really, it was a need that I needed to solve for myself, and that was you hire people, you train people, you put them out in the field, and if you have a longer sales cycle, sometimes you don't discover that a rep wasn't really working until you've let them go. And so I came up with this concept is, what if you had an app that didn't take a lot of interactions, and you would know the number of face-to-face meetings they had every single day, the number of calls they made, how many emails they did. And if you had a way to see that without the salesperson having to do a lot of effort in terms of like reporting like you would traditionally with a CRM like Salesforce, where you have to input a bunch of stuff. If you just input it, if you just had the ability to capture data. And so I built an app that basically takes your call history and throws it into the cloud, matches it with known clients and prospects. And you're going to know with our tool whether your salesperson's making those calls, making those face-to-face visits. And what Callproof does is it allows you to efficiently capture this activity from salespeople, so and have some comfort that your sales team is out there making the prospecting that you need to survive. I mean, often, listen, it's an activity based system in sales. You have to efficiently go out and make sure that you're doing the work that's going to result in sales, meaning you got to go out and beat the streets or knock on doors to get your sale. And if it's an outside sales position, that's what typically has to happen. So, what I teach my team is when you hire someone, really make sure that you test them before you hire them. And testing means you give them a challenge. So if their core role is going to be out knocking on doors.
Yeah, this is nuts. I love this.
Yeah, if they're going to be out there knocking on doors, don't train them for 3 months and then put them out in the field, And that's what a lot of organizations do. They hire somebody who's a great guy, great interview, great resume. You train them on your products and services and how to sell it. And then 90 days later, they hadn't sold anything. And you're like, hey, what's up? And then you're pushing them to do their Salesforce calls or enter their, stuff in CRM. And ultimately they don't end up working out. And often you'll hear this conversation. You'll hear, oh, Donnie, man, you guys have been so great here and training me how to do this. And, man, I've been talking to my wife. I just don't think sales is for me. I just don't like to do it. And it's like, well, geez, I would have loved to known that before we spent 3 months of salary on you.
Yeah, that big sucking noise is is your company's revenues going down that drain, right?
Yeah, and the reality is what I teach people is like, if you have a type of sales role where they are having to talk to strangers all day, you got to figure out if they can talk to strangers. And I don't care if they're talking to strangers with marbles in their mouth. As long as they're willing to talk to strangers, I will hire them. But talking to strangers is not meant for everyone. And so test them first. Bring them into the office, pay them double salary for a whole week to go out and talk to strangers and bring you back business cards. See their work ethic first. Once they have proven they have work ethic, then you can train them. Then you probably have hired the right person.
Talk to me a little bit about the Fleshlight, right? In terms of what really what we all really need and what we're not seeing maybe in the process. So I love that.
Oh, it's funny you say
hard first step.
Yeah. One of the things that often I'll do when we hire when a team hires us to come in and provide the solution, if I'm training a team of 10 people, often we will have 2 people within those first 2 weeks of using our service that will quit or get fired. And really it's the reason it's like, for a moment, you have a sales team and you guys are pretty much sales management and owners are kind of in the dark. If you have a long sales cycle, it may be acceptable to wait 90 or even a year for a sale to close, but ultimately the leadership is in the dark. And when they come in and join Callproof, I'm like handing the owner a flashlight. He turns on the flashlight and he waves it around the room and you can instantly see the activity. And when he sees the activity, he can automatically make some business decisions based on that. If you hire Johnny and Johnny hasn't sold anything, but Johnny also hasn't made any phone calls to drive traffic and get traffic, if he hasn't talked to any strangers, if he hasn't emailed anyone, then what is he doing? I mean, how are these sales going to happen? And so,
again, true story, right? Yes.
What I love about it is I love the aha moment that I get with owners all the time when they go, oh my gosh, I can hire more people now. I can, they can think in terms of scale at that point, because now they don't have to worry about whether or not the team is doing the work. They will know, and they know the results will come through their actual work.
And I mean, and that's what this whole thing is about, right? If you're not scalable, why are you building a business? And some of you guys out there, you've stopped building because you had a bad experience, 5 years ago or a year ago or whatever, with exactly what Robert is talking about. So, but that's not why we're here. Like we are meant to spread out, to conquer, to multiply. And if you're not increasing your influence, why not? Why not?
Absolutely.
I love it. Robert, this has been really, really rich time with you, man. Just some really solid practical experience that you've given to us. I love so much of it, but really the whole idea of, I guess the really that intention of love and serving others, wearing efficiency and wearing technology, and really breaking past, maybe some of the containers that were established back in the 70s, and creating something that is reproducible. And it's been good stuff. We're gonna have links for both of what you've talked about here today, the Shift Your Time and Callproof. That is going to be in the notes. And for those of you who feel like you need, a shot in the arm, or you feel like you need to connect with Robert, we're going to have his email in the show notes as well. Robert, any parting thoughts, just to executives, maybe, in terms of working with the intention of living life now and being on purpose with what they're doing now, man? Any final parting encouraging words?
Yeah, I mean, life is short. I mean, why not be the best at what you do? And that may mean you have to do a little time and energy spent learning. And obviously your audience is out there listening. They're learning. They're engaged. They want to get better. We should all wish to get better and really live an amazing life.
Love it. There it is. Whatever you are, be a good one, right? According to Robert Hartline and Abraham Lincoln. And man, thank you so much for hanging out with us today, Robert. We'll catch you on the other side, brother.